Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first playoff draw of the 2016 Kings County Canadian Masters Curling Championships being held in Kentville and Wolfville, Nova Scotia, in the part of the scenic Annapolis Valley. This is the first playoff game for the women's teams, and
actually the second.
Actually, no, it's game number 2. In the neat format about the draw, they've all had a round-robin draw amongst 12 teams. The top 8 are selected. They are ranked from 1 to 8. The top 4 teams, 1 to 4, will play the teams 5 to 8. After that, the final 4 teams will be selected to go into the semis and then into the finals. So what has been determined is that the 4 teams that didn't do as well or ranked lowest in the round robin draw will be playing the most successful teams in the first draw or in the round robin service here. In the feature game for today, we have Team Quebec and we have Team Manitoba. Joining me today in our commentary is Mike Carson. He's the Canadian National Masters chairman for Masters Curling, and it is a volunteer position, which I'm proud to say, and unfortunately he doesn't get paid for. He will also be providing commentary en français for 4Ns, and it's a thrill to have Mike here with me. He's also a veteran curler of having 4 badges at the Canadian Seniors 4 times and the Canadian Masters Curling 4 times as well. So welcome to the commentary, Mike.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. I did a couple games on Monday. I did the 2 Quebec teams on Monday, and I thought I was supposed to be fired.
Well, I had heard that, Mike, and I went back to arbitration, and the case has been overturned. You've been brought back at the same pay you had before, so no loss of income there. The other part of it is that we'll be able to see today is possibly a little bit of the ice condition change. We've had, if you grow up in the Maritimes, they said wait 5 minutes and the weather will change. So the temperatures had been minus temperatures up until today, where it's plus 12 outside and raining. So whether it has any effect on the ice conditions remains to be seen.
And I can't really help you on that because I haven't heard anything from the men that were playing this morning, so I didn't really. I didn't think I was coming on TV, so I didn't do any of the homework.
One of the things that we constantly say here as members of the club is that curling down or curling to the scoreboard is different from the speed of the rocks coming back to the glass. And the reason being is that there tends to be more, at least we believe the theory is that there's a little more temperature coming off the uninsulated glass that just gives a little bit quicker ice surface to people coming back in the even end, so coming back to the glass. What that means is the lead and the seconds have to be much more conscious about weight. The last thing that you're looking for a guard and it's into the house, or you're looking for a nice draw and you're out the back. So that is a key element in what we're going to see here today. We'd like to
and I've heard that. Yeah. I've heard that comment about the difference going up and going back, or coming back, I guess.
Well, Mike, why don't you introduce the team from Quebec?
Okay. Maybe if you don't mind, I'll do it in French.
Oh, oui.
Okay. Alors, c'est l'équipe Québec dirigée par Sylvie Turgeon. Le 3e, c'est peut-être ma femme favorite, Lise Carson. Le 2e, c'est Sandra Price. Et le lead est Carolyn McGarr. Cette équipe-là vient des clubs de curling Long Point et Glenmore à Montréal.
And Team Manitoba curls out of the St. Vital Curling Club in Winnipeg. People might know that name by being the host club, a home club of Jennifer Jones. The lead, Ruth Wiebe. Second, Nancy Scammell. Third, Karen Sheldon. And skip, Pat Malanchuk. And again, they curl out of the St. Vital Curling Club in Winnipeg. Quebec.
So I guess you can see right now, Quebec lost the shootout contest. Essentially what it is 2 rocks total distance to determine who has the hammer.
And so therefore the hammer will belong to Manitoba in the first end.
Yep.
And normally in the first end especially, it's sort of a feel out idea of the game.
Yeah, not too many teams will go essentially all in. For example, Manitoba maybe play a corner guard on this one, but I think they want to get into the game also.
Yes. And
so they're playing light takeout. You don't have to overthrow it on this ice. Someone mentioned, depending on how what language you use, they were mentioning about a 4-0 split time from back line to hog. So that's pretty fast ice for
yes,
a lot
very
of people.
much so.
Most clubs you might find a 3-7, 3-8 split, which is what, 20-some second. I forget the exact number.
We're running at about we'll run about 26-second ice here. Yeah. The other thing that people would want to know out in the audience, that the ice is very weight sensitive.
Yes, yeah. It almost looks like, if you want to use the term briar or arena ice.
It is.
So it's good. It's just a curl or a draw, but if you up your weight for your takeouts, you better make sure you're on the broom, because they're not necessarily doing like at the briar where the broom is, or the brush is right on the rock almost.
Exactly right. The ice here has been prepared by the club ice maker, who happens to be the same ice maker is for the other co-host club in Wolfville, and that is Tony Sterling.
Yes, yeah.
Tony has a tremendous reputation in Atlantic Canada for ice making. He prepared the ice for the inaugural Grand Slam event this year in Newfoundland. Highly regarded for preparing the ice, and has done a tremendous job here for the Canadian Masters curling.
Well, especially when you're curling in two different clubs, sometimes you can get two different situations. We had this in Montreal in 2012. We were playing in two different clubs on the South Shore of Montreal, St. Lambert and Boucherville. So the formula works, but you have to make sure that get the conditions as close as possible to each other.
And
I think the teams have seen that here. There's nothing.
I think that's been the commentary. I've asked different players about both clubs. Some would say they've noticed a subtle difference, but not enough that would say, "Oh my heavens, you can't do this here, or you can't do that there."
Throw the hack weight draws in one club, and then let it slip out of your hand draws from the other. That would be that. They would have fun.
So again, it's been hit and go away for most of the opening end here.
And this one, the latest takeout, hit and rolled out. So.
And now we begin again.
Back to square one. It looks like Sylvie wants to keep going. Top four, aiming for top four anyway.
Absolutely. No, I guess the goal. Anytime you don't have the hammer, you definitely want to steal. But at the same time, if you force the team with the hammer to take one, that's been a great victory. And by putting this one in play right at the very beginning, it's called, okay, let's come after you.
It looks like the sweepers are sort of seeing right away that it could be a little heavy, or they're not brushing anyway.
Yep.
Sandra on the second here is a new member of this team this year. The three others curled last year together.
Okay.
And actually the same team, the women's team you're seeing right here, lost in the Quebec senior final to a lady by the name of Kathy Derrick, who's been around. So, they played a lot. They play a lot more than me anyway. and I must admit they work hard too. It's not one of these pickup teams coming here, because you probably won't last too long.
Well, it's rather interesting you make that commentary. I was talking to Team Quebec, and my question was, so how do you explain your success? And very quickly it was, we have a coach. Oh. And the coach being Lise, Carson, Mike's partner here, and I'm just going to reiterate what Mike had just passed along here. They had a goal. They wanted to come to the Masters, and in order to do that, you've got to play a lot, you've got to practice a lot, and be in competition. And as a result, that's why they're here.
They probably played like 9 or 10 bonspiels already this year. Yes. So that's quite a bit.
That's a commitment.
Yeah, and it includes 4 bonspiels in the Montreal area. What they have there, it's an interesting concept. And I don't know if there are that many around Canada. They have what they call a Masters circuit. It's just Montreal area. 20 teams get together. They're full. They don't even take any more. It's 20, 20, 20, 20, and there's 4 bonspiels right there that they don't have to go that far away. And they're playing against the top, some of the top men's teams.
Great.
same time. You know, the people that have been around there too.
Well, and that makes the development of the game at the Masters level that much better.
So it looks like we're a little bit of change in strategy here with the Team Quebec rolling up to the back house, and now Manitoba is going to try and freeze on it.
And try to set themselves up for a deuce.
Yep.
They're going to. Sweepers have been hard on it, and I don't know if they're going to get themselves there.
Looks like it might be just a shade short, or maybe they're working hard. Maybe get a biter. No. So there goes that strategy.
Yeah.
When my wife comes home and is mentioning that we lost and they stole this and stole that on us, and I said, well, the only question I ask her is I don't want to get involved.
Smart idea.
You never have the right question. I just asked, was it strategy or execution?
Yes.
If you get a 3-spot stole on you, was it strategy or execution? Execution you can sort of correct with time or the next shot or whatever, but if you're going to use that same strategy every other game, you better start thinking about some changes for the next time around.
Absolutely, and that's how clubs get much better, understanding where they have to work on it, and accept that, and be prepared to improve their game that way. This rock is, Mike. It looks like it's a little light. It's gonna hit on the guard out front.
So Quebec just missed a little chance to maybe force the Manitoba issue. Probably
Absolutely.
Manitoba's probably going to come and try to draw around these. Yep, looks like the call.
The shot rock is available back at the 12. It's available to see. But I think in order for them, that it'd be easier to say, okay, we've got 2 guards out front,
Yep.
the right side of the house. Let's turn around and draw in.
So we're down to third rocks.
Stones. This is Karen Sheldon. Karen Sheldon has been at the Canadian Masters in 14 and 15, so she's on a 3-year run, being here in 16 as well. Weight looks good on this shot.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of will it finish hard enough.
Yeah. Some of these teams, even the women's teams, are using the directional sweeping. I'm not sure if this particular skip is sweeping on the right side, but
Karen asked me to make sure that I give a shout out on behalf of herself and Nancy Scammell, the second on the team, that they also curl out of the Thistle and Charleswood Club in Manitoba. They are proud members, and for curling fans out there, also home to the great curler Jeff Stoughton. Not only a curler, but as a just a fine, outstanding person. So shout out to them.
There are a couple people from Winnipeg that are on my national committee.
Okay.
Volunteer. John Helston,
okay,
who's been around curling-wise, and Paul Batchelor, who is was the chairman of the 211 event. So we dig in on his experience or their experience now and then to help improve our championship.
They are so rich in curling culture, so
might as well
absolutely
use them. Right? They're volunteers too, so same pay as.
It's by the guard here. A little more curl, a little more roll.
Yeah, looks pretty good, right on the nose.
It didn't quite finish as well as they would have liked, as much as Sylvie would have liked to skip for.
But
for
there
Quebec.
again, first end, you don't want to come too close and waste it.
Correct. And as I had mentioned before, I mean, if Quebec can force Manitoba to take one, do that every day.
Their job is done.
So getting in the hack is Pat Malanchuk. She's the skip for Manitoba.
Pat's been to a few of these too.
She's been there. This will be her 4th time.
Yeah. So my wife and I go to these, whether we're on holidays or just happens this year she's playing. It's the first time for her to play in a Canadian Championship. She was essentially a long-time coach and coached some of my senior teams and whatever, and coached juniors a long time. So when they say she helps coaching, well, she sets up the practice schedules, and then once she gets to the club, then she becomes a player or a thrower.
Well, good
or
for
whatever.
her. Yeah. There's a possible tap-off double there. Does it roll out? It's sitting
close to.
It's going to stay in bite.
No, it's going to maybe spin out. Ooh, it looked like it's spun out. It is.
I think it's out.
Well, if you look at the overhead view, it's out, huh? That's a double that was made.
Well, now it forces
maybe
back.
Not her first call, but it's made. It was there.
And so skip Sylvie Turgeon from Quebec will be asked to, okay, let's see if we can bury this one a little better. Really put the pressure on.
So this is the last rock for Quebec in this first end.
One of the things that when I was also mentioning to the team for Quebec, one of the things, and again, it's about having a plan, just like you would say, for training or practice and so on. So this team is more than well prepared to be here, deserve to be here, and now that you're in the playoff round, you just have to curl well.
Yeah, the way the format, like you mentioned, set up, where the top 4 from one are playing the top 4 of the other, so it's 4 more games. And once they finish, the 5 preliminary plus the 4 extra, 9 games, well, they'll take the top 4 teams from there.
That's right. It's getting a little more curled on the last stone.
Yeah. Well, this one might force Manitoba to draw and take theirs.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be hard to take it out, so
yeah,
she'll probably just take the full draw to button and maybe.
Well, I think this is a great opportunity for them to start to play a little bit with weight.
Yeah, try and get their draw right down.
Absolutely.
She might need it later on. Definitely need it later on.
So here we are for the final rock in the first end between Quebec and Manitoba. Manitoba's had the hammer. Skip Pat Malanchuk. Looking for a draw of 1. Anywhere in the 8. Basically a well played end by and large.
Yeah, a couple of missed opportunities going around the guards or there, or the freeze attempt earlier on the end. Maybe as this rock comes down, I maybe should mention that also Elaine Jones from Winnipeg.
Okay.
I remember she was on our committee up for about 4 or 5 years, and then stopped last summer. So But our committee, we have other people. We have the BC, Terry Van Dale is the ex-president of Curl BC. We have Doug Bakes, who is the ex-director of Curling Ontario Curl. So we try and then, sneak into those little, the groups of people that are there.
After the first end, we have Manitoba picking up 1. The hammer will be with Quebec in the second end. And as I'd mentioned before, let's keep an eye on the rocks here, Mike, as far as coming back to the glass. As I'd mentioned before, it tends to be a little bit quicker. And we'll see if that's the case here.
Whoop. Gotta watch.
It's gliding, the sweepers are not on it.
Yeah, seems to be sliding pretty good. They're probably aiming for the top 4, but we'll see where it ends up. It's going to be close. I'm not sure. I didn't see the call. If they were asking to put it out front, I didn't know.
I think they wanted it out front.
Oh, they did. Okay, there you go.
So
back to defensive mode.
And that's exactly what it is here, right? So
I think Quebec play that a bit. Know them. I've seen a few of their games. I don't necessarily go and watch my wife curl all the time.
Getting the commentary after the game is, I think, a much better idea.
And then I don't. I try and keep out of that. You don't win.
Yeah, there's a no win on that.
And those that know my wife back home, they realize that I don't get involved in that type of discussions.
Yeah.
My wife is from the Saguenay Lake St. John area. I met her when I went up to work for Alcan. So her first language is French and my first language English, but we picked up the other part, as the years went on. 40-some years later. This is a little tight, Mike. I think she threw it a little bit inside. It got enough of the rock. But got just a nice roll to make it a little interesting here. Yeah, over to the 12-foot.
This is lead first for Manitoba, Ruth Wiebe. Ruth is going to be needing another jacket to sew crest.
So right now it's actually lead for Quebec. Carolyn McGarr. She's a top-notch lawn bowler too. So,
is she?
Yeah. So she's met a few people from around here that she has met at Canadian Lawn Bowling Championships. So.
Further down the valley, we've had a community called Bridgetown has been really renowned for lawn bowling.
That's maybe where the people are from. Well, they're getting a little bit of trying some of the directional sweeping here too.
Hit and roll and keep it clean.
So we'll see. Here's a big call. We'll see what happens here. No, she wants
at the top.
She wants it close, but maybe not in. Or she's probably not too worried if it comes in the top 12.
No.
Thing is, it seems the ice is not curling that much versus maybe earlier in the week either.
I don't think it is.
You were getting the 4-foot curl. Now you're into the three and a bit turtle type curl. But they've tried the other turn, okay, which is always nice when you get a so-called free draw. If you want to call it a free draw, why not try the other turn and see what that looks like? Huh?
Especially after the first end, you're not getting the chance to throw all your opportunities here.
No.
Ruth Wiebe started to say earlier is the lead for Team Manitoba, and as I was mentioning, she'll need another piece of clothing to put provincial crest wins on. Give you an idea, she's been at the Masters in 2002, 3, 4, 7, 9, 10, 14, 15, and now 16, and has been at the Canadian Senior Curling in 99 and 2003. An outstanding career in curling. A lot of achievements there.
So she gets picked quite often. I guess. There are others that are not chosen, and they're home. She gets to travel the country.
Absolutely. Stone on the way for Manitoba. See, hit and stick. They'd be liking that with on the Quebec Rock in the 12th.
This one's taking its time to come in.
Good weight.
Yeah, it looks like it might hit and roll out there. But there again, it's probably the first chance to throw a takeout in that particular zone, so you're not too sure. I mean, nothing you want to baby it and have it go inside on it. So here we go. Looks like Curling Quebec's going to... There again, we're maybe from our advantage point of view, I missed the signal again. I don't know if she's trying the corner guard or just playing over.
I think just a corner of the house.
Yeah.
Sweepers are on it. Should start to dig in here.
So if they're brushing, I guess they wanted it to come in. They might have overbrushed it. There's your...
Well, it's a little slick.
Yeah.
And it may.
Boy,
it's gliding hard to the back of the 12.
And hangs on the back.
Sandra Price, who just threw that stone
so second. You can see they're maybe they're getting fooled a little bit by the speed coming this way. Because they were brushing quite a bit there, and then
it is
in the end it didn't need it.
No, yeah. Any curler would tell you it's hard to trust yourself when you've watched a watch or a feeling going one way. That's what you're going to tend to believe, especially if you've made the shot and now trying to adjust it, coming back the other way.
There's a takeout attempt in the back.
On the nose and the hit and stick.
Okay, well, here's the next call. See if this is it. Oh, Sylvie's still trying to keep clear.
And see if
that's one of the terms I've used with them a lot. Just be patient too. You don't have to go all in. I had a different experience at a Masters Championship in Montreal 212 where decided to go all in. We're tied in the final gold medal game. We're tied after 5, and someone on the team, no names, decided we got to go all in. And ended up after 6, we were all out.
Well,
and there was no rush to do that. But the other team, Newfoundland, that beat us, they made them all, and they made angle raise takeouts and all this, and ding, ding, ding. And at the end of the end, you count them up.
Well, patience.
But that was a good experience for.
Oh, very much so.
How often you get to play in a gold medal game?
Well, there's 8 ends in this game. They're only in the second end, and the score's only, Manitoba with 1.
Yeah. Quebec's holding the hammer.
And you're still trying to get a read in the ice. The other thing is, it's never a bad idea, like you say, to be a bit patient to see if you can capitalize on your opponent's mistakes here.
You'll probably see a little bit more action in the third end here, I would think.
I would say.
Gives them a chance to go in one way. Going each way, I mean.
Manitoba Rock going to glide in the house here.
Looks like it could be close to the button. Maybe if you want, I could say a little bit of commenting in French. If you want.
Please do.
Okay. Maybe pour les amis au Québec, surtout Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, qui ont moins d'anglais là-bas depuis que je suis parti. Dans le fond, c'est ma femme Lise. C'est Lise Gagné est née dans le Jonquière, puis ça que j'ai rencontré quand je suis allé là comme ingénieur pour l'Alcan. Lise n'a pas joué beaucoup dans les provinciaux pendant une certaine période. Elle a coaché longtemps ce qu'ils appellent un sport-études à Jonquière. Les young kids, ils sont allés à l'école le matin, puis curling dans l'après-midi. Hey, think about that. Huh? She did that. Elle a fait ça pendant quasiment 10 ans. Après ça, elle a coaché 2-3 ans à Montréal. Puis là, elle ne coach plus les juniors. Puis elle donne un coup de main à son équipe, mais pas plus. Maintenant, c'est le tour de Manitoba. On est dans les 3-4 dernières pierres. Tu vois encore, c'est un jeu assez ouvert, mais probablement tu vas voir le changement au troisième bout. Ici, c'est Pat qui, dans le fond, un skip d'expérience aussi, qui a fait plusieurs championnats, dont les 3, donc 2010, qui était à Nouveau-Brunswick, 2014, Coaldale, Alberta, et 2015, l'année passée, à Whitehorse, Yukon.
Oh oui.
Tu peux voir que les championnats changent de place. Nous, ce qu'on a fait, c'est qu'on a développé une rotation. La rotation est fixe. La rotation est là depuis 2010. Le 11 était à Manitoba, Winnipeg. 2012, Boucherville, Saint-Lambert, Québec. 13, Thunder Bay. 14, Alberta. 15, 2017. Next year, we'll be in Guelph.
Okay.
And notre committee a déjà annoncé. We've already told the executives of Curling Canada and the member associations that we will complete our mandate in next year's event, and after that, well, hopefully someone will do something with it.
Well, and you and I have had a lot of our discussions, behind the screen on the master situation of curling in Canada. Maybe we have the opportunity, we'll expand upon that a little bit later. But I want to follow up on something that you had said earlier, is that I was saying Quebec, just to be patient and possibly take advantage
this draw
of
could be put a second house might be a little too heavy here. Oh boy.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Pat Malanchuk had flashed one, and now to split the house to set up for two was there for Quebec, and again, as what we'd say, it was going downhill, glided through the house, and now...
I don't think they brushed that one enough to make it.
Oh no. Karen Sheldon holding the broom for her skip, Pat Malanchuk of Manitoba. And I will almost guarantee that we will not see a second flash from Pat. This is Manitoba's last rock in the second end. Quebec with the hammer.
Quebec has a hammer, like you just mentioned. Missed opportunity to put a second one in the house. Sometimes 2 points when you. This one looks like it might even be a shade outside, but it looks like she has good weight. Nice soft weight, so it's coming down.
Nice control weight.
Yeah, nothing.
Happy with the control.
Get it right on the nose. Roll over a bit.
Great roll.
Yeah. So Sylvie will play takeout. Probably want to roll out, but
I would assume.
First priority is hit it, right?
And Sylvia also has some experience at a national level. She was in the Canadian Seniors in 2007 and the Canadian Travelers Curling championships in 2011 as well.
The 207 seniors, that was held actually in Quebec. It was in Three Rivers.
Really?
Trois-Rivières, in the arena. They had a great setup. Trois-Rivières, c'est une belle ville de curling. Beaucoup de bons joueurs de Trois-Rivières.
Final rock of the second end, Quebec.
There we go.
Skip rock, Sylvie Turgeon.
This one doesn't seem to have that much weight, but hanging out. You better
It's
watch
hanging.
it.
It's hanging.
You better watch this one closely. She pushed it out a bit, so.
A flash.
Oh boy, look at that.
A steal of one for Manitoba to take a 2-0 lead after the second end.
Ça, une chance unique. Il y avait une chance pour peut-être prendre deux, mais là, ils sont fait voler un. Ça veut dire c'est un virement de quasiment 3 points.
The Kings County 2016 Canadian Masters Curling Championships has been supported by many local businesses. In this draw, we will be featuring local car dealerships who generously have offered their support. One of the things that has been greatly appreciated by all the curlers is the amount of transportation available and shuttling services to go from curling venue to curling venue and also to accommodations. And that has been made possible by companies like Kentville Chrysler Dodge Jeep. 4 of their vehicles have been used to transport players to and from games this week, and we truly appreciate their support. As well, we'd like to give recognition to our company that has been providing this, making this live stream possible, Bell Alliant TV1. Bell Alliant is proud to be the official broadcaster for the Kings County 2016 Canadian Masters Curling Championships from Kentville and Wolfville in Kings County, Nova Scotia. Bell Alliant, there's more to love with fiber op.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think I missed that one before. sounds pretty good. Hey, think about this. We're Canadian Masters 60 and over, and we're at live stream games. The only other occasion we had it was in Alberta, where the local community college had a project, and they set up the semifinal games and the final and bronze game.
That's great.
That became a project, and they did the whole thing. Some students were directors, others were producers, others were announcers, others were this and that. It became, like I say, I guess they passed. So
yeah, no, and
using curling as their subject, I thought that was pretty neat. But here we're in the big leagues now, folks, with the coverage of every time there's a game on Ice 3 at both clubs. Think about this: at both clubs, you can switch over if you don't want to watch this ladies game. You can switch over and see a game from the Wolfville club.
Well, one of the things,
but definitely you want to stay with us.
Well, I can't imagine switching, but here we have bilingual commentary. You don't have to change to a French channel. You don't have to change to an English channel. We have it both. And I really appreciate that, Mike.
It's bilingual in my own way. Some of my French-speaking friends will say that I don't speak that well, but I just say that I work hard to keep my accent.
Carolyn McGarr for a lead for Quebec through a great draw behind the guard stone that had been set up by Manitoba, and the second rock for Ruth Wiebe, lead for Manitoba, came in to put a bit of almost a perfect freeze to the Quebec shot rock in the 4.
It looks sound like right now Quebec will try and maybe sit on the corner of what was just thrown. This one looks like it's a little wider than the other.
It looks a little wider. In order to finish, it would. Well, the weight looks good.
They might want to decide to take it completely around, maybe, but we'll see.
No, I think it's starting to finish a little harder, Mike.
I say no. Yeah, you're right. That is slowing down a bit more. We're getting caught on this speed one way, and then.
Great throw. Great throw.
Thing is, it's set up for maybe Manitoba to play a takeout on the top red and maybe make a double. So just have to touch that red and the blue just a little bit, and both red will go.
I think that they wouldn't need to do much to really open that up, and I have a feeling that's what Pat had been pondering. And sort of think, well, should I draw in and come around the other way and sort of fill the back in behind?
It looks like she heard us.
Okay.
It's going to go to maybe a takeout on the front top red.
Or even,
Even if she just hits and
even a hack weight here would be pretty good.
take out the red and roll over on top of the other.
Second,
Set it up for later.
Second, Nancy Scammell, Team Manitoba.
She looked like she taught Jeff Stoughton how to throw the rock.
I was just about to say, if that doesn't look like a Manitoba tuck, nothing does. I can tell you that. And it might get by that guard. I think it just squeezed by.
I think she got it. Yeah,
Now the problem,
there it is. That's probably the call that they were trying to get, and look, they got it. Huh? That little red one in the back could be vulnerable later on.
Well, I'm thinking they would have liked to have had that bump open a little bit more, because now Quebec has the ability, if they can, to come in and draw in behind or freeze at the top. And I think that's what Sylvie is looking to do.
Well, it looks she just changed her mind. She wants to take this top blue off.
Okay, and then
that's her call, I guess. Not necessarily what we would. It wasn't this amongst our 2 or 3 options that we had.
No,
this is option 4, I guess.
Well, the thing is, when you have the hammer,
you got to be ready.
Yeah, well, the last thing you want to do is after 4 rocks, you have the center line all full of rocks, and you're going. We just made it much more difficult to get in there later on.
And if the skip has to make a delicate draw at the end to save, she sort of wants an open side of some sort.
This event wouldn't be possible without, again, I can't emphasize enough the great sponsors, but the municipal governments, the towns that are involved, the town of Kentville, the town of Wolfville, the village of New Minas, which sits smack dab between the 2 towns, and the rest of the municipality of the County of Kings have been very, very supportive, both financially and volunteer-wise, in the making and the operation and the development and the success of this event. And can't say thanks enough for their contributions.
And when you think about it, the whole budget is essentially money coming from the local community to make this event go on. We as a national group, we don't have any budget. We can't provide any money. The only small part is provided by the provincial associations when they say pay the entry fee for the team. So each association will pay the $75 entry fee per team. So that totals a little bit over $2,000 and something. But of that, right away, of that amount, we pay for the medals, gold medals and silver. We have the same quality medals as you would have seen last week at the seniors. They're made by the same company. We just change the design a little bit each year, depending on where we're playing. But once the medals are paid for, the engraving and whatever, any residue left amount stays with the host committee. It doesn't go into my bank account.
Okay, good to know that.
Some people think it does. No, that's the way it's set up, and I actually prefer that than I don't. You can come to these events and people think that you're on a free ride. We said no. We do these because we like it.
Well, and that's one of the things I mentioned in this morning's game. You have teams that come from the Northwest Territories, Yukon, or anywhere, but especially those districts, to come on their own dollar.
Well, Clarence Jack, who plays for Yukon, he's been to maybe 15 of these. I don't know the magic number, but he says it costs him about $3,000 to come here. For the right to play. The right to play, and you represent your territory, your province. Yeah, he's from the Yukon, so he's out of the White Horse Club. But they're there again. See, Yukon have had teams since day one. Okay, the first year of this event was in 2000, and Yukon have been here every year, whether it's in Nova Scotia or whether it's in New Brunswick or whether it's in BC, whatever. They always have 2 teams. So essentially, that's why they got into the 2010 rotation document. And we were there last year in Yukon, and all the teams that were there had a great time.
Yeah, and that's wonderful to hear.
Right. The only ones that aren't included right now in the rotation are people like the Newfoundland, because they haven't had continuous participation, and same thing with PEI, who don't necessarily go every year. So until they proven that they want to play every year, well, then we can add their name. Yeah,
it's a huge commitment. We're seeing this end here develop, and really, really fascinating. We now have 6 rocks in the house above the tee line. We have shot rock for Quebec.
But it looks pretty lonely in behind.
Very much so. Very much so, and this is where, you know, if you're Quebec, you're looking at this and you're going, yeah, we're shot rock, but we cannot afford ever not to be shot rock here, because if their rock is removed, not only is it going to be hard to put another one in, but there's a lot of blue there that are willing to, or already in play.
There's another interesting call. I'm not sure exactly what she wants to do. Looks like she's trying to play takeout on the top blue, but she's going to be losing. She's going to be losing her red.
I think they want to get rid of those that
combination of some
that combination, or at least get open to that layer of blue that's just behind there.
They're not bad. There's it sort of saved the.
Well, it's really opened up the house. And
you'll probably see Manitoba play a takeout on the blue and get rid of the red.
Absolutely.
Could be lying 3 or 4 after that.
But what's happening here is just at the top of the biting the 8. Quebec has a rock that will be able to come into play. I'm not so sure I wouldn't play that rock now.
Well, it's Manitoba's turn, so
yeah.
You can see that it looks like she's playing takeout on her blue.
That's why I was thinking I'd play the other Quebec rock that's up in the top.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, they're probably worried about maybe jamming somewhere. This one looks like it's coming in pretty good. So.
No, this shot will be gone. Quebec will be out.
Yep. So here we go. Manitoba line 4. You can see why that little plain takeout on the other front one earlier on was maybe would have been best to put another one in the pot somewhere.
Right, now what's going to happen here, a hit and roll here by Quebec puts a little more pressure. Now it's just which one do you want to come?
Well, if you look at it, if she hit that top one on the right there, it could make maybe 2 or 3 of them go away if it. I'm not sure how much.
I think I would go with that. You wouldn't have to hit right. Well, if she hit right where that broom is.
Except what I've seen is from her call, she just asked for a hack weight on this one, so probably hack and trying to roll maybe in behind the red. I'm not sure. The women out on the ice are not mic'd like you have at, say, other national events where you can sort of listen into their strategy calls and whatever. We're up here.
We're trying to do the mind reading thing. It's always very good. I've never been able to work at it with my partner,
and I shouldn't say that with my wife out there too. That's sometimes a little difficult.
I think that's a great shot as it's turned out to be.
I think that's essentially what Sylvie was trying. Hit and rolled in. Not quite the hack weight because it only pushed the other one to the back of the 8-foot. So, but it got the roll that they wanted. So,
yeah, Mike. I think I'm trying to see if they can get at the red shot rock from the other side of the guard and push it out, or maybe they're going to run that Quebec rock that's at the top of the house away.
Interesting. Or maybe with this ice, just maybe put a guard on top of that and somehow hope that Quebec doesn't play the raised takeout red on the blue.
Yep.
Seems to be the call. If they can put it up to the guard and in front of that top red,
I would agree.
Would probably be a pretty good spot.
I would agree. Stone, Pat getting ready in the hack. Manitoba stole one last end. They have a 2-0 lead over Quebec going in the third end here. Quebec with the hammer. Pat's rock on the way.
Yeah.
Sweeper's not putting a whole lot of effort into it.
Trying to make the guard. Probably trying to make sure she covers the
weight's looking good.
So-called left side or the right side as the rock's coming into the house. You always sort of want to cover the
right
so-called good side. Hey, it looks like a perfect guard.
Great throw. Great throw.
Probably couldn't place it any better with than with your hand.
Great throw. A lot of curlers underestimate how important it is to have that ability to cover, put up a guard in the middle of nowhere or part, so that you're covering half a rock or quarter rock or freezing up two. To have that touch and ability, what an amazing asset it does to have to the success of any team, but especially at a competitive level. So Quebec deciding what they want to do. They're looking at a couple of options there, whether to wick in.
Yeah, you got to watch it. You don't want to try and clip your own red out and then give up another bundle, but if you could ever clip that blue one out, it would be golden, I guess.
Well, and on this shot here,
you would probably see if you get the Coeys and the McEwens, whatever, probably playing some sort of double off those ones on the right there.
Yes, absolutely.
But in this caliber, I think they go with more the lighter weight takeouts and more try and hit the broom and with the right weight.
Now, let's take a look on the screen, Mike. If Quebec is a little bit inside.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned, where they could end up clipping their own red out and
now you're in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, face be 4 blues in the end.
Sweepers are on it right now for line.
Looks like a little bit tight.
I don't think they can hold it. In fact, it's way inside, Mike. It's curling hard. Now they can get it to the back.
Lots of blues, and at least maybe a couple of those blues might help later, but looks like they might have no choice later on if Manitoba puts up another guard like she just did.
Free draw.
Yeah, that's tough, but it's there, I guess.
Well, there's
to draw against one. It's not quite the necessary drawing against all those blues you see. 5 blues in there, but essentially there's only one that's counting.
Now, Mike, what would happen I guess one of the problems if you were trying to draw in and take away maybe almost freeze to the inside of the red that's in the forefoot, but you don't want to have it too exposed that it's peeking out enough where Quebec with their last rock would come down and basically remove.
Yeah, or make a double maybe or something to get 2. I think the way Manitoba would be happy right now, Quebec only takes 1, or if they try and take 1. So here we go, probably another guard attempt like she just made. So.
Well, she threw it Pat throws it as well as she did the last time.
Yeah.
Money.
It's always nice if you could throw the same shot twice.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat Malanchuk's last rock of the third end for Team Manitoba. And again,
it's coming in, looks pretty good. Again, brushers are on it for last minute to try and bring it as close as possible without necessarily pushing the red. It's open to just a bit, just enough to maybe clip it and take out the red, but that's a pretty tough shot there. I'm not sure what weight. Looks like she's got to just I don't think it's there really.
I don't think it's there, and I just think they got a lone draw for 1. And at this stage of the game,
it could be there, but if it's pretty, it's probably there, but it's not that easy.
In in the third end right here, the last thing you want to do is be down 3-0.
Yeah.
You know, even though you got the hammer, you're still down 3, and it gives Manitoba the opportunity to peel and clean and be a lot more defensive. So, for this stage of the game, I think Quebec would rather be without the hammer than being down 3 with the hammer.
Yeah, or if she tried something else, clips her own out, she could give up a 3 or 4. So here's
Last
the draw.
round for Quebec.
Peut-être la dernière pierre de Sylvie Turgeon pour, elle semble être un peu large et pesante. Je ne suis pas sûr que les brosseurs sont en train de se préparer. Peut-être il y a une dernière option à la fin. Il essaie de ticker sur le bleu, mais Sylvie Turgeon était un peu trop pesante avec son draw. And we get a steal of 1, Manitoba.
And
so there we go. It's now 3-0 Manitoba after 3.
And the way I'll frame it in my brain. There's 5 ends left. And that's all there is. And now you're down 3. And it just gives Manitoba that idea that we can be a little more defensive. We don't have to be aggressive here. We're going to put Quebec on the attack here. They're the ones that are going to have to make more of the shots.
Yeah, so you can see probably she'll be aiming to the top 4, and then Quebec probably will have to start, like you just said, do something, maybe a corner guard and
absolutely
build something up.
And that's that in this end particular, before going into the fourth end break, is that the guards that are going to be asked from Team Quebec, so Carolyn, McGarr, Sandra, Price, are going to be very critical in this end. Sweepers from Manitoba. Nice center line guard, thrown up by lead Ruth Wiebe.
Maybe just while we have a little break here, we can just catch up on a couple of the 3 other games of the championship pool going on right now. You can see an ice 1. Not necessarily the best game for Northern Ontario. They're losing, if I see it correctly, 12-0 after 3 ends.
Well, I don't mind just squinting because I'm looking, because I'm finding that hard to believe.
Yeah,
I thought maybe there was a shortage of numbers and they just stuck it up there.
Or using the old system on the new system. So Nova Scotia is leading Northern Ontario 12-0 after 3. On ice 2 we have Ontario and BC. BC is leading 2-1 after 3. And on ice 3 we have playing the red, Saskatchewan. They're up 2-1 over New Brunswick. So I got you caught up before I'll be leaving after this end. I don't know if Chuck's fired me again, but
no, I can't thank you enough that you've been absolutely a blast to be with. My comment for the lead rock for Quebec, if you want to guard, it has to be now, and unfortunately that one went in the house. The break they got was that Manitoba removed the rock, but also rolled out. Now there's a game. There's a change of plan already. Sylvie said, "What? Let's just go behind."
You'll probably play with the scoreboard, and Manitoba will just play takeout on their own rock. And maybe try the raised takeout, but also, or at least open it up and not let Quebec develop anything that's a little complicated.
Oh, when you're up 3-0, you have that.
All right. 3-0, you're under control. So just to mention why I'm only doing 4 ends is there's a long-time family friend. It's Barbara Tracy Myers. It's from Halifax, and her dad actually was my first boss and first skip for he was with Alcan, and he's been to 4 or 5 Briars. So he was a Briar caliber, but always curling with guys out of the Bagotville Air Force Base.
Okay.
So you get these Western guys coming in.
Okay.
But Bill will represent Quebec at least 4 Briars and a couple mixes, and he retired back to New Brunswick, and then unfortunately passed away, I guess 2 years ago now. So he was my first skip. I remember first week going out and just sliding, and I said, "Well, what is this? What is this, folks?" Interesting call where Manitoba's coming around and freezing on that back one. they might have played takeout on that front one to open it up, or try and maybe split it or something, but they're going right behind. So
I think what they're going to do...
Quebec's going to try and follow down.
Well, they're going to force Quebec to not build anything but to chase.
Yeah, and that's a good spot, the one on the top of it.
Absolutely.
It's not something that's 4 feet, 5 feet in front. It's a foot or whatever.
Well, and they can use that to also put a lot more pressure on Quebec if they use it as a tap back. And right now they're coming behind.
Because as you see, the ice is not curling that much, so it's even tougher to curl around a top house rock that's there.
It's wide and it's gliding.
Yeah. Well, looks like my wife is trying to do some of the directional sweeping, but it's probably some of her first attempts at this.
Well,
it's something that you can see teams that have picked it up. I played the Quebec men's in the provincials, and they've been playing together all year and doing it. And that's the first time, personally against a team that use it, and you see that it works.
And I think, well...
now what are they going to decide at the world level in the next few months? I don't know.
Well, I was watching a part of the World Men's, and one of the things they said would solve a lot of the problems is that they would have a standard fabric and saying, this is the fabric we're going to use, and that's it. And that takes away a lot of the issue. Rock on the way from Manitoba.
Here's a hard take-out attempt. Should be able to take out one and maybe just roll over and just tap the blue. So Manitoba's line 1, Quebec second shot, looks like.
The good news for Quebec, everything's below the T line.
Well, that's right. So Sylvie will try and come around this top guard and maybe get in top 4. If she can get at least 3/4 hidden, that would be probably a good job.
Absolutely.
It's always a difference. You've probably seen it in your curling experience, the difference between lefties and righties too.
So I'm a lefty.
There you go.
And I won't tell you all the commentary what they think about me as a lefty, but it really does make a difference.
Doesn't curl the same as the righties. And
so
in theory, her with being lefty throwing the in-turn like this, my theory is that maybe the righties that, especially if the no backswing, you might have a tendency to extend them outwards versus the lefty coming in that puts them more, say, in.
Well, for me,
is that part of your tendencies too? And I haven't even played against
on a Masters team I'd play with, I would see that being left-handed, they know what I can make with my in-turn being a little stronger than my out-turn, which is a little better than for a righty's out-turn. So it does definitely come into some strategy of what you can ask of somebody. So I think if you take a look at some of the top teams now in the world, you're seeing more left-handers. Not saying I don't know what we would ever do if we had all 4, heaven's sakes, but
don't they have the World Left-Handers Championship or something in Oakville? I don't know if they still have that, but it used to exist. Here's a beauty. Look down.
Beautiful.
But there again, they're all in behind the tee line, so one little miss here and there, you can pick up a 2 pretty quickly.
Well, I think Lise is in the honk there and getting set to throw.
So you'll notice that Lise has swing and delivery. This is something that we picked up in the mid-90s from Andre Fairland.
Is that right?
Who's performance brush fame and curling fame and coaching fame. He came up to Saguenay area and essentially showed us all that, because that's about the time where it was coming a bit more, in the coaching circles. And we're a longtime friend of Andre Fairland and his sons. And
great name in the game.
Because I was a tucker up until '95. Think about that.
Okay.
It takes a few years to switch around. Sometimes you're throwing flat foot and you think you're tucking, sort of.
The situation for this end, Mike, is that Quebec has not been able to get that berry. No. And the longer this goes, the less likely is the chance that they're going to get 2. In fact, they could be under a lot of pressure to score 1.
And this one, tapping it over a bit, there's actually the team sees a bit more of the red than before.
Yep. Karen's rock is on the way. Sweepers are hard on it. I think they're going to have plenty of room to get by the guard. It's just a matter of what roll. The weight's
really
a little light.
Hard, but it looks good.
Weight's dropping off, and the only problem is I don't think it's going to get enough.
Might curl too much. Oh, well, there it is. That's going to be a tough one to get at. Because,
Well, I think you can finish there, Mike. But
Skip doesn't seem to think so.
no.
Yeah, when the draws are only curling, not even 2 to 3 feet, 3 feet max, tough to come around.
Very much so. So let's get rid of the top. Let's not put ourselves into a situation where we're going to be forced to make a great draw for one.
But like you mentioned, all those rocks gradually were getting towards the center.
Yeah.
And we're running out of room.
Well, here's a run back. I think it's going to hit it
could
square in the nose.
Jam and maybe take their own out here. Oh boy. Ugh. I shouldn't say that, but I guess I'm cheering for the wrong team here.
No, there's just a lot of rocks in play, but for yeah. And this is the
again. They probably should have they could have played a draw to the round on the other side maybe and set up something top 4 even if they were shot, rather than play this the outturn draw doesn't seem to be curling that much.
It just never set up well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
right from the very beginning.
Back. Yeah,
everything in the back. They weren't able to get that guard up that they needed. They weren't able to get the come around. And now the situation is this. And Manitoba has a situation where they're going to be able to put a guard to cover their shot rock. And Pat just finished throwing 2 great ones the last end for Manitoba.
She probably wants to get it as close as possible to the house and maybe even the top 12.
I would say top 12 would be great.
Cuts down the angle or
absolutely
the space.
Yeah, it shrinks that come around time area too. Sweepers are not jumping on it by any stretch.
So it might go on the top of the house on its own.
I think it's going to go deep. They might be faced wondering whether they should freeze to this, but
yeah, it looks like they might have brought it in, or actually the sweepers didn't do anything. The rock itself came top 4, which is probably a little deeper than.
Yeah. That leaves Sylvie the option here of drawing in, freezing to the back. The Manitoba rock sitting behind the tee line.
She's been struggling with her draw weight, so we'll have to see what happens here.
See, playing the double here, if you were trying to play a double, it's really
something's going to hang around there somewhere.
Right, and
then she'll have to play the draw anyway later.
That's right.
So first serve.
Well, yeah, and if you're gonna, if you may have to throw it once, you may as well throw it twice.
Yep. And you never know; they put it on top of the button, and the other jam somewhere.
Absolutely. This could
what do they call that? A skip's a deuce or something like that? I learned that the other day.
Yeah. Thank you, front end. Thank you, Skip.
But it was essentially nothing in play, but all of a sudden you end up with 2 on the board. Whoops, sorry there. I was coughing, so I knocked off the sound. So the house league gave me that term. There was nothing in the house. All of a sudden we got 2, and they called it a skip's deuce.
It's on the way.
So you learn something even after 45 years of curling.
It looks heavy.
Heavy again here.
It's heavy, but they've got to get it by. Got to get it by. It's not what they wanted.
No, a little heavy, and they couldn't really do much with it.
And now Manitoba's sitting 3. Manitoba's sitting 3. Couple of options here for Manitoba.
They could probably come right in on this one, top 8, because even if the other makes a double, there's going to be something hanging around the back there.
Right.
Top 12 in front of the other would be beauty.
Yep.
Some sort of guard on it.
Just shrinking the house, I think if they took away the center line to some degree, or even just a little bit on the other side of the center line.
Yep.
Boy, that makes that draw coming in a lot tighter. Then I guess it would mean, even if you come down almost parallel to it, Mike, on the other side of the 4 foot, a hit means that, what are you going to do now? You're not going to get shot. So Last rock from Manitoba, Pat Malanchuk.
Sorry if I've been coughing. I guess I have to go and have a drink. Peter at the bar has been giving me my daily apple juice every day.
Okay.
What's a special one?
Well,
he has just for me.
Well, God love him.
I think I tried the Sunday night at our meet and greet at the golf club.
Oh yes, Peter's special apple juice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a call out to Peter Gorley, the person that Mike is referring to, the bartender, Peter Gorley.
Been looking after me.
What he did, he took a week off of work to work here.
Really, I didn't know that.
That's the type of commitment we've heard from some of the
something
volunteers.
for people back home where you look at both of these clubs are essentially, other than the head ice technician who does both, all the others are essentially 100% volunteer. So you get volunteer ice people, volunteer bar people, volunteer maintenance people, volunteer this, volunteer that. So
it's not for lack of effort. And
what I found is who's the president here again? Just to mention, Ian
Duga.
Hey, guys, I'm just guessing. 35 years old, maybe at the most.
Ian's 29.
Oh, is it? So there, okay.
29.
So I was close.
He might have just turned 30.
Yeah. Okay. So here, 30-year-old president of this club. It looks like they're sweeping hard to try and get it. I'm not sure. Looks like be another steal of 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, Sylvie's been struggling with her draw, where she's heavy in some ends and light in others, so it doesn't help. So it looks like a steal of 4. They might be looking at the 4th shot, but they can take 3. Might be looking at the other from.
I think it's 4, Mike.
Based on what we can see up here in our advantage, we have our own little booth. Huh?
Yeah. And the thing is, Mike, it's been a game. Time for measure. That's what they've called for. Have the umpire. It's been a game that Quebec has had plenty of opportunity with just one shot, to have changed the outcome so far of this game. And like you said, the draw just hasn't been there today for Quebec. Either the weight's been good, but the line hasn't, or the weight's been.
Interesting concept where I keep telling my wife, and she's a level 2 official or something like that as a third, she's sort of forgotten everything she learned in officiating school to how to measure a rock properly. Going clockwise rather versus.
And this is not to be recorded and passed along to Lise at all, by the way.
It looks pretty close. It's blue. So we have a steal of 4. So
steal of 4.
After 4 ends, Manitoba 7, and Quebec is still looking for their first.
I don't know what it is about the 4th end here, but I can bring out the best in some and bring out the worst in others. 2 games I've had here as well has been 10-1 outcomes after 6 ends, and now we're off to a 7.
So we don't have to cover the games that long. I guess. So maybe I'm going to be signing off because like I mentioned, going to be a person from Saguenay Days, the daughter. I think is the daughter-in-law also of one of the Myers in the curling family in Nova Scotia. So the daughter-in-law. But like I say, she is the daughter of my first skip back in the Saguenay days. So we're just going to try and catch up on about 45 to 50 years of not seeing each other.
Well, Mike, it's a real
she drove
pleasure,
over
sir.
from Halifax this morning, and so I'll go down and see her.
Anytime, and it's just been an absolute pleasure having you here, and I can't thank you enough for all your contribution to the Canadian Masters curling scene. I know when you're doing it at a national level, and when you have a function of where we don't have really a whole lot of budget to work with, there's some challenges that have to be overcome by the Canadian Curling Association and how they recognize and how they support the Canadian Masters curlers going forward, and I appreciate all your hard work and efforts for speaking on everybody's behalf. So once again, Mike, anytime, please feel free to come to the booth.
Okay.
Add a lot of credibility and quality to it.
Okay,
so.
Thanks again. Okay.
Take care.
Good luck, man.
All right. Once again, that's Mike Carson, Canadian National Master Chairman, and we will turn around and give this as an opportunity to promote some of the local area.
Annapolis Valley. The Annapolis Valley. Simply extraordinary. Visit novascotia.com/ The Annapolis Valley. Simply extraordinary. Premium grapes. A warm soil of the Annapolis Valley. We think it's the ultimate wine pairing. Visit novascotia.com/ Annapolis Valley. Visit novascotia.com/ Annapolis Valley. The Annapolis Valley. Simply extraordinary. Visit novascotia.com/ Annapolis Valley. The Annapolis Valley. Simply extraordinary.
Welcome back to the fourth end break of the Canadian Masters Curling Championships being held in Kentville and Wolfville, Nova Scotia. My name is Jim Noonan. I've been commentator for a few of the games here at this tournament. And welcome to the live stream brought to you by, or definitely made possible by Bell Alliant TV1. Visit bellalliant.ca/TV1 for the webcast and TV schedule as well as on-demand content. You can also get information on live events available only to Bell Alliant Fiber Op customers in Atlantic Canada on channels 1 and 401. Bell Alliant, there's more to love with Fiber Op. It's been an interesting 4 ends for this game between Quebec and Manitoba. Every opportunity that Quebec has had have been maximized or capitalized on, and as a result we have a 7-0 score for Manitoba after 4. The game as it's going to unfold here is going to be one of Manitoba not wanting any rock in play and Quebec to trying to do anything to keep some rocks in play. So even the good news for Quebec, even after, no matter what the outcome of this game, it's only one game of the round robin. It doesn't eliminate them from anything. It just means that, well, we have to win 2 or 3 games anyway. 3 games for sure. It just won't be this one. Manitoba's elected to have Ruth Wiebe throw a rock into the house, now sitting at the back behind the tee line at the back of the 12. Team Manitoba, when I was talking to the group before the game, asked them what would they attribute their success to. And it's the right answer when everybody says the same thing. They said, we're great friends on and off the ice. We never lose sight of having fun at what we do. And to basically do that and when you're off the ice says you're a good compatible group and they don't lose sight of playing a strong game of curling. I know Carolyn McGarr, lead for Quebec, will not be happy with that. Come up a little light, and rock has been removed from the ice. It's one of those games when it's not going right, it's definitely not going right. Lead Ruth Wiebe for Manitoba, putting another one in play, maybe as a guard for their rock at the back of the 12. There are 2 other games in play that are tight or close after the fourth end break. British Columbia has a 3-1 lead over Ontario. Ontario has the hammer after 4. We'll have the hammer in the fifth end. And the Nova Scotia Northern Ontario game decided 12-1 after 4. Quebec has thrown a rock down to be center line guard, just outside the house, almost biting the top of the 12. Manitoba line 2. All 3 rocks sort of straddling, covering the center line. Manitoba sweepers hard on this one. Had been looking for a possible come around, but I think it's a little short. It's going to be a little tight to line anyway. Well, what they're going to do is make it very difficult to have Quebec use any use out of their rock. Once again, Quebec under a lot of pressure to try to build an end here. Just a lot of rocks in play, but they're not their rocks in play. So, Skip's Sylvye Turgeon has been is asking Sandra Price. Second, let's open up some of this in the front. Let's clear out some of the Manitoba rocks. Now, sweepers are on it to hold line. Sweepers are hard on it to hold line. Opened up the house a bit, not sure of what the final strategy or what the final outcome was, what they were hoping for. It has sprung open the Quebec rock out into the 8-foot open. Manitoba deciding they would like to have that removed. Rock in the way for Manitoba. Looking for a little bit of a hit and roll. And exactly what they got. Great throw. So Manitoba's line 3. All with some cover. And at this stage of the game, I'm not sure if it's even possible to start worrying about building out or throwing and opening up the front of the house when we have so many rocks in play. Going to try again. You can understand the situation. In order to try to hopefully build any possibility of an end, Quebec has to open it up and give some opportunity to get into a scoring circle, the 4-foot band, later. Right now, they could come around, and Manitoba wouldn't have any problem falling down or blocking it off to say, okay, take your one and we'll be happy and we'll walk away and go to the next end with the hammer. Quebec needs to get as many rocks in play as possible. Manitoba still sitting 3. Let's get Pat Malanchuk asking for a guard to be inside the rock, in between the Quebec rock just outside the house and the Manitoba rock in the 12-foot. Karen Sheldon's rock on the way. She's throws third for Manitoba and curls out of the Thistle and Charleswood Club in Manitoba. She has also been at the Canadian Masters Curling Championships before. This is her 3rd year. in a row. Sweepers are on it. Slightly light, but it still will take away some of the access to cover for Quebec Rock to come behind. Sylvie's decided to try to come in as shot rock as a draw from the other side of the house. Lise Carson, third for Quebec, stone on the way. Starting to come now. Make sure that they can get it by the corner guard. Hard by. Oh, just a slight. It's interesting. When you're down 7-0, you look and you can't put a finger on anybody. It's just one of those. It's been light. We've rubbed on a guard. Went too deep. It's a combination of all things, and the way this is going, Quebec, the best thing to do is just say, well, we never planned to win them all, so we'll just let this one go and regroup for the next one. More importantly, just play end by end, get your own game back in play, make every shot that's been asked, and that's all you can do. Rock on the way from Manitoba, Sheldon, looking to remove the Quebec Rock that had just been thrown. It's going to crash in on Manitoba's rock at the back. As a result, Quebec Rock might be 2. And now the question is for Quebec, how can we get in there to have some issue on the shot rock of Manitoba? Last rock, the 5th end for Lise Carson, 3rd for Team Quebec. Sweepers are on it. I think it will finish. It's just whether it had enough weight. And comes up light. Still a possibility though, that rock with a little bit of weight on an angle there may be able to get at the shot rock of Manitoba. Manitoba looking at options of how to take away the possibility of having an angle raise. A couple options. They can come in and draw, they can guard, they can put a rock in on the other side, making it, counting 1 and 2. They could red guard that or the red rock that was just thrown to take away that possibility of use. Decided to draw in. First rock for Pat Malanchuk in the 5th end. Skip for Team Manitoba. And the Manitoba team has curls out of the St. Vital Curling Club in Winnipeg. Weight looks good. Question of line, will it finish? Will it finish? No problem by the guard. Doesn't want to finish. Might be better. T-line. Partly covered, about half a rock. look like they would be, see if they can hit and roll a little bit, make it a little tighter to come into. Trying to think of how Quebec could score 2 here. And even if they end up with shot, even if Quebec ends up with shot rock here, Manitoba could then determine to come down, block off access to that route. Quebec needs to be shot rock here, and there might be a possibility of using the Quebec to use their own red rock, which is open up on the other side of the house. You can just see it on your screen on the far right of the tee line. Maybe use that as an angle raise. Stone in the way for Scammell of Quebec. Needs to finish. Got plenty of room by the guard, but it's just not finishing. Manitoba is just going to make this next shot even, the last shot for Quebec, even tougher. Block out the possibility coming in from the left side of the house. General rule in curling is that if the skip is doing draw weights all the time, sit there in pretty good shape. Skip that's out there hitting stones all day long, things are chasing. Not always, but tends to be a bit of a rule. Last stone on the way for Pat Malanchuk, skip for Team Manitoba. Really not caring too much of how deep it really goes. The rocks have not been swinging as much as they need to be. Or not need to be, but the actual that there's not as much swing in the ice. So therefore, to ask a rock to come around, to go biting into the forefoot on the rocks that are out there now, not enough swing to do that. Still looking at that possibility of ankle raise on the red that is outside the house on the right. And that's the only rock I see that they can actually have. The only opportunity they have is that angle raise there. Not enough swing in the ice that you can draw around. The option that they were looking at, hitting their own rock and rolling in from the outside, I think is too deep. You would need incredibly big weight to back up almost to roll it across the house. So I think this is what they're left with. It is, I'd like to see Sylvye make this shot. The idea, whether the outcome of the game, whatever it is that Sylvye would say, well, I made that nice angle raise for one, knowing that, reminding yourself that she can make a lot of shots and has made a lot of shots and will make a lot of shots, and they just haven't all come together in this game. So I'd like to see her make this. Currently Manitoba is sitting 3 and leading 7-0 after 4 ends. Last rock for Team Quebec in the 5th end. Sylvie gets set. Just needs a... Sweepers are on it to hold it. Hit. Hit. Oh. Bite. What a great shot. What a great shot. Wonderful shot, Sylvie. That great shot turned Manitoba's 3 into Quebec 1. So Quebec will pick up 1 in the 5th end. Score now 7-1 Manitoba. Manitoba going in the 6th hammer. Great rock. I'd like to take this opportunity again to thank some of our tremendous suppliers and supporters. Cornwall Chevrolet provided 2 vehicles for shuttling players, and we really thank them for their support to Cornwall Chevrolet, as well as Summit Hyundai, Forbes Kia, Valley Ford, and Kentville Toyota. They've all done a thank you so much from the organizing committee for protocols to make the movement of players easy, without stress, and we thank you so much for your support of this national event. First rock of the 6th end. Quebec, Carolyn McGarr, centerline guard. First stone on the way for Team Manitoba. Lead Ruth Wiebe. Coming around the Quebec guard. Might bite a piece of the 12. Looks like it does. Team Quebec, Sylvie Turgeon skip, asking her lead, Carolyn McGarr, to put a similar rock to Manitoba's, to biting, just touching, or even if it's just outside the house. A little light, but still a good guard. Even though Manitoba is up 7-1 with the hammer, they're going to continue to try to apply pressure, but not by opening up. They don't care. They're going to put pressure by coming around the guards that are already been set up so far in this end. So second, Nancy Scammell for Manitoba to come around the guards. Plenty of room to come around, just a matter of weight. Looks like T-line weight. Nice rock. Sandra Price, second for Team Quebec, will be asked to come down and freeze on top of the rock just thrown by the left-hander. Throws it on the way. Sweepers are on it. Sweepers are on it. Maybe a great shot if they can get it behind the guard. It's now getting a little light. Team Manitoba, wondering, well, what else do we want to do here? And at this stage of the game, we're not interested so much on how much we score. We just don't want to give Team Quebec any opportunity to steal. So they're going to put up another come around, and even if it's short as a guard, that's fine too. Sweepers are on it. They definitely don't want to be on to the Quebec rock. They don't want it opened up at all. And it's going to come up short. And I think what we're seeing here is we just had the fourth end break. And whether the change of humidity with players coming off the ice, don't know. But if we take a look here, some of the rocks that we've seen here, you would like to have them as a guard, but the others they're all short. They're all coming up a bit short. So the ice is getting a little tighter, little frostier here maybe. So second, Sandra Price. Looking to possibly open up their own rocks. They got a huge break as a run back, wouldn't be bad either, to see if they can move the shot rock in the house of Manitoba. That could come. Oh. Well, it spun out. Shooter into the 12-foot. The old theory, you can't score if your rock isn't in the house, so Team Manitoba looking to remove the shooter rock of Quebec that's rolled into the house, remove it, take it out of the scoring zone. Stone on the way. You know, things are going well if they can get an inside roll here. It's really starting to curl. Hit, roll, and things are going well. Can't tell from this venue. I think it peaks. There's a little bit of room that the rock that just thrown that rolled into the house is beyond cover of their own guard outside the house. Sylvie Turgeon is thinking, well, let's see if we can get a run back here, get a nose hit, and we could be sitting one. Lise Carson third. Asked to throw. See if they can have a nose hit here, a run back. Needs a little curl. Needs a little more curl. No, off. Just off a nose hit. So, Quebec still has a center line guard that they can use for possible run back. Pat Malanchuk, skip for Manitoba, is thinking, why don't we draw behind it? Karen Sheldon, stone in the way. Looks like doesn't look like it's curling enough yet. It's going to be tight to the guard. Plenty of room to go. Starting to dig in. About T-line weight. Just sitting outside just biting the 4-foot. Team Manitoba counting Sitting 4 at this time in the 6th inning. And with hammer. I love his determination. We're going to run this back one of these times. Well, and the thing is, it better be now. They do not have many. They do not have any other real usable guards to make a run back on. Need a nose hit here. Sweeper's on it for a hold for line. It's back. Oh. The old adage, if it wasn't for bad luck, you'd have none at all. Down hit, roll off, and the blue in the 4-foot, and now it's rolled out, and Manitoba is still sitting 2. Maybe even 3, but I can't. I would say no, Manitoba is sitting 2. Carolyn will be asked to throw the same rock again. Same stone. Stone on the way. So a little wider than the last time. Starting to finish. And just a hair lighter. Run back is still there. Just off the center of the rock, just a bit to the outside of the rock. Just a bit. Need to get it to run back to tap or even sit down on the shot rock of Manitoba. Just behind the tee line. They also have some protection there with their own rock just sitting outside the 4-foot. So after some discussion here, just trying to establish where they need to hit the rock, what weight they need to throw. So Lise has given them just outside the rock. Sylvie is discussing with her house of exactly what they want to do. This is so critical. A shot like this, if you're not throwing massive weight, the sweepers have to be on it and watching it. Turgeon skip of Team Quebec. Sweepers are on it. On it. In the hit. It's a little tight. Still Manitoba counting 2. But it's interesting here just exactly what Manitoba is going to decide to do. Looking at discussing possibly bumping up their own, angle raising on their own. And I think that or else actually just make a guard on giving some protection to their. At the end of the day, want to make sure that Quebec does not have the opportunity to do an angle in, a run back to open it up, and possibly minimize the damage, or even count for Quebec to at all. Karen Sheldon had a second thought and wonder maybe it would be better to come around and maybe draw in or hit the Quebec rock that is currently counting number 3 rock in the house. That decision is passed. Going with the original idea, Pat Malanchuk. Sweeper's not on it yet. Not on it yet. Not on it yet. Sweeper's on it now. Line only. Line on it. So what we have here, we have Manitoba with 2 rocks. The 12. Well, actually, if you want to count all the rocks that are in play for them, they have six in the house, 6 counting, 6 rocks to count. Quebec have 2 overall. Quebec and Manitoba is counting 2 for sure. Quebec is looking, going. We've been working at this run back all in. Let's see if we can do this now. And Sylvie Turgeon has been asked to make a lot of tough shots, and that's the way it's gone for Quebec. That's the way it's gone for Quebec all the way through. Last rock for Quebec in the 6th end, looking for a bit of an angle run back. Needs to come over a little more. It's a little outside, and rubs off their own. Lise stopped the rock before it was going out of the house. Manitoba just looked and smiled and said, "No, that's okay." And I guess in Lise's mind, and the shaking of hands all the way around, and so end up without Quebec, or without Manitoba throwing the rock, it would be 9-1. Again, there's not a team here that will not ever have a game they just want to just throw in file 13, and I think Quebec just says, I hope that's the only one we have. There was the other day, or on Wednesday, did a morning game with Ontario and Nova Scotia, and there was a shaking of hands after the 6th end, Nova Scotia winning 10-1. Both teams are in the playoffs. So you have those games. It's just important to let it go and gather up from there. So on that note, it's the next draw that we're going to be covering will be at the 4 o'clock draw. Still looking for the teams that will be set up here on sheet 3. Want to let you know that Bell Alliant is proud to be the official broadcaster for the Kings County 2016 Canadian Masters Curling Championships being held here in Kentville and Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Bell Alliant, there's more to love with fiber up, and we thank you for your support. We also, once again, thank the volunteers who have worked tirelessly in the kitchen, providing food and beverage for guests and couriers. There's one of the people who work in the kitchen and has prided himself in the kitchen. I saw him this morning, and the only thing I said is, it's sort of nice to know that there isn't a sleeping cot here. Otherwise, you might as well just stay here. And he said, no, it's nice to go home and actually sleep somewhere else and even shower. So we have those type of volunteers, and we can't thank them enough. So the next game that we're going to have on this live stream will be at 4 o'clock, and do not have the names right at the moment, but We love the following, love the audience. And now we're getting into a time zone, time that you can be anywhere and be reasonable hours in Canada. This morning we did the 8:30 broadcast. Like I said, you'd have to be an insomniac to be watching it from BC at 4:30 in the morning. So take care, and on behalf of the Canadian Masters Curling Association, I'm Jim Noonan, and looking forward to having you come back to the audience in the game at 4 o'clock. Take care. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon.